if you sink to the floor, the camera. Ready, 2, 3.
When I was 19 years old, I was on a trip through New England with my grandparents. And one of the places we stopped was at the inn across the street. And on Sunday morning, my grandmother and I came over to this church, and she said to me, "This would be a very nice area for you to live and a wonderful church." And lo and behold, after I was married and my husband was transferred, we wound up coming to this church.
We had a babysitter who was of the Jewish faith, and I once said to her, "Oh, if you wanted to talk to your mom and dad, but maybe you didn't want to share something, who would you share it with?" And she says, "Oh, the guy on the hill." And I said, "What hill? What guy?" It was the pastor here, when we had an interfaith connection. And so then we thought, with our 4 wonderful little boys, we would join this church.
It's been our home for a long time, and not only the physical facilities, of course, but more importantly, the people.
It's our church family. It is our family.
People here are connected to each other, not just by the ways they know each other outside the church or the activities they may have been a part of within the church. They're connected by something greater than all of us, which is the divine. And people really feel that presence of God, not only in their own lives, but with each other.
There has been a church on this site since sometime after 1777. In the realm of Christianity, the Congregationalists were the place to go. If you were a good civic resident, you also attended church regularly, and you went to the Congregational church. The church was a meeting house, and the cemetery was the first one in what has become Wellsley, the cemetery that's right here with the church.
A Memorial Path really started in the ideas generated with the building project that occurred here at the church in the early 2000s. Prior to the building project, there was a great deal of visioning, and at that point in time, someone and many people asked if we could open up the cemetery that had been closed for so many years.
The idea of the remodeling was to bring the church and the churchyard closer together. Before that, we had kind of a solid wall there. There wasn't any visual connection, if you will. So as that idea evolved, the notion of opening the churchyard became of interest, let's say.
Memorial Path, in terms of its location, resulted a lot from the fact that we identified a path that was used by carriages. The concept of the markers can be described in a way as a shared space, and it was nothing less than a revelation. And in fact, it felt like a godsend. Our journey also took us to Karen Sprague, an artist in Rhode Island who is involved in the engraving of headstones particularly. She hand carves and sculpts every name.
Even though death ends this part of our lives, we don't leave the community fully, and that the community no longer has us as part of it. So that happens not only through memories, but there is something really beautiful about the way the Memorial Path literally grounds us. That this can be a final resting place for people's earthly remains while they know that their loved one has gone home to God.
My husband and I we never thought about our final resting place, but when it became evident that there was an option for us, we talked about it. Thank goodness, because just a few short weeks later on vacation, I lost my husband. But I did know what to do.
We didn't talk a great deal about it. It's just that he was not really into the thought of cremation, you know. And I think he was not even into dying, right? So I was one step ahead of him. You know, I was already thinking about that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Memorial Path is designed to offer a number of possibilities to accommodate final wishes for its members. Essentially, you make a reservation, which in turn allows you to be engraved on a headstone and to be buried in a lot contiguous to this headstone.
I had always said that when I pass, I want to be cremated, you know, put the ashes in the garden, put it in the ocean, and Ed was more of a traditionalist, and he said, well then, how are we going to be together? You know, I want to go in the earth and you want to go above the earth, so how's this? So when this came about, it was just like, he just totally changed. He said, this way we can both be together in a space, and being the family man as he is, we have 8 spots. And our names are already on there, you know, with our name, a quote from our Bible. Our names are on there. And then we have spaces below us. So whether anybody in the family will join us, we'll never know, but it's there in case they do. And it's just, you know, it is very comforting. Sometimes I walk out there and I just look at my name there, and I have such a sense of peace.
I decided to be buried here, and I had my name installed on one of the headstones, and it called "The Lord is my shepherd," and that has been true in my life. And one of my sons said to me, "Oh Mom, that's depressing to know your name is on a headstone." And I said, "But sweetheart, now you know what my choice and wish is, so that when God calls me home, you and your brothers won't need to say, 'Oh, what should we have done?' You will know what my wish is."
As Christians, we believe that death does not have the last word, that God does. But we also fully recognize that our earthly lives are finite and come to an end, that it's our call to care for those endings, that while we trust that our loved ones are taken into God's eternal care, their earthly remains matter still, and their place in the community matters still. And so we want to attend to that. And the Memorial Path is one of the ways that we are able to not only honor a life and God's gift in that life, but to continue to have that person inspire us and be part of us.